Welcome to Professional Learning for Teacher Effectiveness. Session 5, Component 2C, Managing Classroom Procedures, Part 2. It is one thing to establish and write clear procedures. It is another thing for those procedures to be followed consistently. It is important that educators not only write and post procedures in the classroom, but purposefully teach and practice those procedures with students. Let's take a look at one technique for teaching procedures to students. Our learning target for this activity is, I can educate students regarding the effective implementation of procedures. Please locate page 104, Teaching Procedures, Explain, Rehearse, Reinforce. Take a moment to read the introductory paragraph. Working in triad groups, you will need to determine who will be responsible for each topic. Explain, rehearse, and reinforce. You will then read your topic and write a summary statement. Write a specific example of what that step looks like or sounds like with your students. Post your response to Canvas, Modules, Session 5, Teaching Procedures, Discussion Area. What is an example of explain? For example, it is important to turn in your assignments in the basket for your class hour so that your assignment doesn't get lost. When putting books back in the bin, it is important that they face out so that the reading level color-coded sticker can be seen. What is an example of rehearse? Ask each student to come up and put their assignment in the correct bin. Or you can teach students how to politely correct one another. This can be done through role play, a looks like, sounds like activity, or even with puppets at the elementary level. What is an example of reinforce? Teachers should monitor the phrases they use when correcting students. Using phrases like remember to or next time, or asking a student to repeat the action is much more effective than don't or you forgot. Remember that a procedure must be consistently reinforced if students are to see it as other than optional. Students who struggle with a procedure can sometimes learn more effectively if they teach it to another classmate. Remember, at the distinguished level, the students are self-directed and should redirect students who are not in accordance with established procedures. It is important to also teach students how to correct one another appropriately and politely. Teaching procedures should be grade level appropriate as well. For the younger grades, pictures can show what is expected. Next, you will have an opportunity to determine how you will teach your procedure to your students. Please locate page 105, Explain, Rehearse, Reinforce in the classroom. Use this page or your notebook for this activity. Use the procedure you developed on page 103, Establishing Procedures in the Classroom. Describe what you will do at each step to teach the procedure to your students. Please post your response to Canvas, Modules, Session 5, Teaching Procedures Discussion Area. What about this process did you find most useful in changing how you approach procedures? Educators need to understand the importance of clearly written and explained procedures, the importance of rehearsing until everyone knows the procedure automatically, and the importance of reinforcing the procedure so students understand it is to be followed. Remember, establishing and teaching procedures are key to an efficient classroom that maximizes instructional time. Students will appreciate the structure and knowing what is expected. Our life is filled with procedures. So teaching students how to follow procedures is a life skill they need to learn. Teaching students to follow procedures meets the learning target. I can educate students regarding the effective implementation of procedures. Another element of Component 2C involves smooth transitions. Smooth transitions are also a procedure students can learn so that they are seamless and do not infringe on instructional time. Next, we will explore some of the techniques you can use for smooth transitions and group formations. Our learning target is, I can facilitate the effective transition and formation of students in diverse grouping structures. Please locate and read the introductory paragraphs on page 106, Transitions and Formations. Let's take a look at how one teacher manages transitions and group formations. This same video is posted in the discussion area and is called Choreograph Your Classroom, and you will find it in session 5. After you've watched the video, what insights emerged? Transitions can take up a lot of instructional time if they are not planned like the other procedures in the classroom. Let's look at some tips for smooth transitions. Focus attention. Set expectations. Give directions. Signal movement. And observe and monitor. Please review the transition tips on page 106. How does this compare to what you do to ensure smooth transitions? As you can see, when a procedure is developed for transitions, the whole process is much smoother and time efficient. Consider what transitions occur in your classroom that could be streamlined by developing a procedure for the transition. Group formations. Forming groups, just like transitions, is another classroom activity that can be facilitated by a defined procedure. The forming of partners is an instructional strategy that carries many benefits. A stand and share is a powerful way to energize students' brains and get them talking prior to a group discussion. Partners working together can consult with, peer edit, and peer teach each other. However, it is important that we alternate whom students partner with so they do not partner with the same person all the time. Let's discuss some of the ways in which you form small and large groups for various classroom activities. Please locate page 107, Group Formations. Work as a grade level group and use this page or your notebook to list your group's ideas. Make a list of ways you ask students to form partners or groups so that they have an opportunity to work with various classmates over time. Also, make a list of the different grouping structures that involve the entire class and indicate the purpose of each. Once you have an idea of your list, please post your list to Canvas Modules Session 5, Choreograph Your Classroom. What ideas do you have for forming partners and groups? Potential answers include elbow partner, clock partner, readiness groups, or learning style groups. What other group formations do you use and for what purpose? Potential answers could be reading circles, clusters for group work, rows for testing, and facing rows for discussion. When a teacher uses various group formations, the students eventually realize the type of work and interaction that is expected in each formation. The students should assume responsibility for efficiently creating new group formations and then reorganizing back into the standard classroom setting. A procedure can be established for gathering in these various formations quietly and quickly. Changing states and using different structures for various instructional activities makes for an engaging classroom. Remember, Component 2C emphasizes the ability of students to group into various formations with minimal prompting, a result of well-established and well-practiced procedures and routines. It emphasizes the ability of students to do so in a self-directed manner. The strategies you have learned for transitions and group formations will help you streamline this process. Using the various group transitions and formative strategies meets the learning target I can facilitate the effective transition and formation of students in diverse grouping structures. Please locate page 99, Learning Targets. Reflect on how you would rank your proficiency with the first 3 learning targets on a scale from 1 equals low to 5 equals high. Reflect on whether or not your rankings have changed and why. Since this is one of the on-stage domains, what observables can you collect to demonstrate that you meet the higher levels of performance for this domain? Examples include, but are not limited to, evidence of efficient and smooth running procedures, procedures posted and followed, students taking the initiative for transitions and group management, students taking the initiative for distributing and collecting materials. We have discussed how to write and teach procedures that will help teachers manage transitions, materials, supplies, and classroom routines. We have discussed the management of instructional group transitions and formations. You will now have an opportunity to reflect on what you have learned and make connections to teacher practice. Our learning target for this activity is, I can improve teacher practice and expertise by reflecting on teaching and seeking opportunities to grow professionally. Remember, for Assessment 3, you are selecting one of these Minds on Fire reflection prompts from Domain 2 to submit as a grade. Please read the activity directions for Assessment 3 and follow the rubric. If you choose to use Minds on Fire Reflection, a closer look, please make sure that you do type the information in Canvas Assignments Assessment 3 template. Please locate page 108, Minds on Fire Reflection, a closer look, or remove this page from your course folder. Review the content and strategies you have discussed in this session and the higher levels of performance for Component 2C. Answer each reflection prompt. Managing classroom procedures, transitions, and group formations is an essential aspect of a successful classroom. Taking the time to teach procedures at the beginning of the year can save time each and every day thereafter. This reflection meets the learning target I can improve teacher practice and expertise by reflecting on teaching and seeking opportunities to grow professionally. The rest of this session will be for you to work independently through the material. There will now be narrated PowerPoints on Canvas Modules Session 5 to walk you through the rest of today's activities. Please be sure to post the activities in the discussion area or submitted assignment area before our next class. Remember, even though these activities are not graded, they must be completed to report your successful completion to your university partner. Immediately after this introduction, please go back to Canvas Modules Section 5, Components 2C, 2D, and 2E. The next video will explore Component 2D and how we can encourage students to engage in positive behaviors. The third video will explain Component 2E and how the classroom environment can contribute to student engagement. The fourth video we'll review all components of Domain 2. And finally, we will be introduced to Assessments 5 and 8 in the course portfolio. If you have any questions while you work, please do not hesitate to call or email your instructor. This concludes our Session 5 Introduction. Please continue to Module Session 5, Components 2C, 2D, and 2E, where we will next focus on Component 2D.